Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Austin Linney. Thanks for being on the show, Austin.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, honored to have you on the show. He was reminding me that we met, it's been over a year ago now or 2 years ago, I guess now since, it was 2020?
Yeah, it was 2020, and it's probably the last live event that went down. Yeah.
It probably was. Yeah, that's right. It was in February. So just over a year ago. So I'm glad we were able to meet, and it's an honor to have you on the show now. But Austin is a former service industry veteran of 20 plus years, turned serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, mindset, and business coach. He's the host of a weekly podcast, Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. He's not building businesses, growing his expansive network, and who's who in the leading industries, providing massive value each week with his podcast or helping his coaching clients achieve a breakthrough. So Linney, welcome to the show. The experiences that you've had and things you've pushed through, it's incredible now. And it was just a little bit that I know about it, that now you're able to help so many others do the same thing. I look forward to just diving into that conversation. But why don't you give us a little backstory about yourself and what you're doing now, what your focus is, or I think that will help the listeners.
For sure. I grew up in Houston, Texas. I probably say it wrong because I'm from Texas, and everybody's like, that's not how you say it. But grew up. My dad was his own entrepreneur. My dad was a dentist. He's probably one of the more known dentists in Texas. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I've never brought that part of my story up. I guess he kind of taught me the ropes in the hey, take a chance on yourself. And he actually just sold his practice like a month ago for the first time, 40 years. So, watched him grow up. And when I was 17, I was a problem in school and just school didn't do anything for me. I have a photographic memory. So I would just memorize stuff and just get an A. And then as school get harder and harder, it got worse and worse, and I couldn't do that. And I was just I was a troublemaker, nothing crazy, but just talking a lot, not really interested in my parents said it's either military school or we're going to, we need to make a change. And so they sent me down on my 17th birthday and said, you need to pick a choice, either move to Fannett, Texas, or go to military school. And so Fannett, Texas was where my mom was from. And I went from 4,100 kids in my class to 98. And it was out in the country. It took 3 little towns to make up this school. And I went to school the first day, and they had boats and behind their trucks, and they were wearing camo. And I was like, where am I? I don't even understand what's going on right now.
Sounds like where I grew up, actually.
I grew up on a golf course, and I was like next to NBA players, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And so, you can imagine somebody that's about to go into college, the social shift, it was very hard for me because I was no longer accepted. I was an outsider, to the T, and they were not happy about it. And, especially when the women like the out of towner and some boyfriends are not happy about the attention I'm getting, they were trying to fight me. So that first, 6 months was not cool for me. And then about 3 months into that, my parents set me down and said, we're getting a divorce. And I was so shocked because they didn't fight. And I was like, so then I blamed myself for my parents' divorce. My troubles were, I created the story, right? The story. And so I got into the restaurant business, and in the restaurant business, if you know it, back in that time, drugs and alcohol were very prevalent. And kind of got introduced to that scene and found solace in doing drugs. And it was many years of personal turmoil and just kind of lying to myself and my parents. And you get to a place where there's so much shame associated with it that you don't even want to talk to people. And kind of my breaking point was I stayed up for 8 days straight. and I lost like 25 pounds, and an ex-girlfriend saw me and she was like, dude, this is not good. Like, you haven't eaten. Like, I'm seeing like rabbits I thought were rabbits, but they weren't there. I packed up all my stuff and I got in the car and I drove out of that town, and I didn't look back for about a year, and wound up getting away and breaking the cycle of the hard drugs. And that for me was a big move, because they had a grip on me, whether or not I wanted to realize it in the moment or not. And, it wasn't all roses from there, but I thought that was kind of one of the first turning points of making a decision that was not the path I was going to go down, because I was born for greater things. And so,
wow. No, keep going, because it's such it's amazing where you're at now from this, but go ahead.
And long story short, I was put down the hard alcohol, but continue to drink, and I wound up wrecking my car in somebody's yard and running over their mailbox. And it was a comedy of events and just a bad situation on so many fronts. Really a low point for me. And I had a friend come and pick me up, and I got I got a ticket, but it wasn't that crazy. So I kind of packed up my stuff and moved back to Beaumont. And I was at my house for like 3 weeks, and I was still partying after that. And I came home one day and my mom said, okay, it's not a hotel. It's not, I don't know what you're doing, but this doesn't work for me. And so at the same time, my father cut off everything he paid. So car insurance and everything. So I had a bag of clothes, no job, no car, and nowhere to live. And so I was a 21-year-old baby. I was crying like a little baby because everything had been cut out for me. And my friend let me cry for like 45 minutes. And he said, all right, dude, enough's enough. Get your shit together. We're going to figure this out. You're not alone in this, right? Because that's what you feel. You feel like you're alone. And so he drove me to my friend's house, and he said, listen, it's not much, but I get you a job laying tile. So laying tile and brick, and the guy's going to pick you up at 5 a.m. He's going to drop you off at 6 o'clock at night, and you need to figure it out from there. Well, where am I going to live? And so my buddy says, well, I don't have much, but I've got the downstairs. This is not a joke. I'm not like framing this out as a joke. The downstairs of a closet, that closet that's underneath your stairs. I slept on a single mattress and had a fan and a bag of clothes, and I slept in that closet for 3 months. And I worked about 80 hours a week and laid brick and tile in the summer in Texas, and lived off about $40 a month in food off of ham sandwiches and ramen noodles. And I saved up enough money to buy my grandmother's Explorer, and then I got my bartending job back. So, wow, that's some determination right there. And there's so many steps there that were like you just got out of that town. You changed things up. But then also you had this friend, you talked about, you just broke down. He listened to you, but then he was like, okay, let's get our stuff together here. It just like, you never know, when you're going to be in your shoes or when you're going to be in your friend's shoes, right? Mm-hmm. When you can encourage that friend, encourage that other person, and really help them to pull their stuff together at a crucial moment, or when you're going to have that friend that's going to do that for you. But moving forward from there, now you are, you're helping so many other entrepreneurs and people that that need that push as well, right? And so let's fast forward a little bit. Sure. And let's, speak to the entrepreneur that's listening right now, or maybe that new entrepreneur that's like, man, I'm struggling to keep this all together, or I can't see where I'm going, or is this really going to work? Right. All those things that we all struggle with when we're first beginning a business, or, thinking we're going to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you can give us some examples of some people you're helping, and let's help the listener as well. Yeah, first thing I say to them is welcome. Come join the party. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be fun. But, I look at the people that I help, and what we're searching for is understanding that the ultimate transaction or the money that you're creating within the entrepreneurship or investing is not the end goal, right? The end goal is for you to get to the end goal and not have so much carnage in your life that your family hates your guts, right? And understanding that there is a process that we need to fall in love with of who we're becoming, that is the ultimate epiphany in the entire situation. And how you do that, how I've done that personally, being sober for 2 years plus now, is I created a thing that I took from Andy Frisella where I win the day. And so, for me, it's 5 things I do every day that is ultimately not a goal. These are habits. And I live and breathe off of those bad boys. And for me, that's reading 10 pages a day, 45 minutes in the morning, I walk and listen to a book, and I do some sort of weightlifting. And then I sit and, I'll listen to one YouTube thing, and that's kind of my morning. And what I call that for everybody is you have to put on your own personal armor before you head out into the world. And I think we can be overwhelmed a lot by so many things to do, but ultimately the to-do list is never going to go away. So what I've done with my clients is I've created a list of importance. And you work off your list of importance instead of your to-do list.
Okay, that's incredible. So create a list of importance. Don't just create this mass to-do list. Help us to think through that a little bit. How do we, because it's like, especially when you're first starting, you don't have a team yet, right? You don't have, you're thinking, well, all these things have to get done and I have to do them all myself. And I was there, and now we have an amazing team, and I'm just like, I'm thankful now. And I'm trying to train my team. Like, okay, I just have all these ideas, right? And I just want you to go take care of it, right? I put these things into place, right? But it's not that way in the beginning, right? You have these ideas or these things that have to get done. How do we create that list of importance?
So ultimately, the things I learned from losing money in business, which is they're quicker learners, is that you deem everything. We as human beings deem that everything is necessary when ultimately it's not. Like, you don't need a YouTube channel. You don't need marketing. You don't need anything. The idea needs to season enough where the business dictates the scaling of those operations. And so ultimately I ask myself and every one of my clients on Sunday night or the night before you head into the next day, what's an actual tangible thing that you can get done that's important, that's going to move the needle forward? And here's the deal. If that's meeting 5 people that you need a network in, to talk about syndication or Airbnbs, then that's the most important thing to do. And understand that you have to create space in your calendar in order for you to have creativity time to even envision up these things. If you just have this reputation of meetings on meetings, you don't even have any time. You're working in your business, not on your business. And what we try to tell everybody is, if you're creating $1 million business, then start with the end in mind and work backwards. And so I like to live my life in 90-day chunks. And kind of reassessing over and over again, and understanding that I've had to teach myself. Like, perfect example, I've got my coaching business, the podcast, we're writing a book right now, and I have 2 businesses that I own. Like, to a normal person, they're like, holy crap. But like, ultimately, I don't work on everything at the exact same time. And you know what? God bless AAA Adams. I swear to God, he changed my entire life a year ago when he said, he looked at my schedule and said, dude, your calendar is terrible. Stop. And so what I've learned to do is I do all my coaching on Monday, and I do all the podcasts on Wednesday. And then I work on one business on Tuesday, and I work one business on Thursday. And then Friday is wild card day. And what it does is it trains your mind to work on the same task. Like, so I do 10 to 11 coaching calls on Monday. But it's cool because I'm in the coaching space the whole day. I'm not going coaching, podcast, Airbnb. And it's changed my entire life by keeping the mind straight.
I think that makes so much sense. I mean, you named, I'm living in that, or have for a long time. And most people that have listened to the show know there were days where I was recording 15 shows in a day for a long, long time. It's just that, but being in that mode, I called them marathon days, right? Just knocking those out. But I got to a point where it's like my entire week would be full of all this inbound meetings. I mean, team meetings, podcast interviews, investor calls. I mean, would just fill the entire week, right? And so I actually had an all-day meeting that got canceled the night before. And so but that meant that whole day was blocked off, right? There was no like inbound meetings. That was such a productive day. Like, it changed my whole thought process moving forward, right? And so that made me push to say, okay, how can I free up this time every week so I can just have that time to work on the business and not in the business? Exactly what you're talking about.
Well, You're married, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes, of course, but sometimes in marriage, think about this. In a man's point of view, same with entrepreneurship. What I describe marriage sometimes is there's a train going 200 miles an hour down the tracks, and the man is behind the train, hanging onto the rails like this, right? And that's the same thing in entrepreneurship, right? And so if you don't have that day to clean up some of the stuff, the open-ended stuff, I treat everybody as this. You know what we are as humans? We're an iPhone that has 900 apps open. And we've got about 9 loops that we haven't closed. So if you can have that day where you can close loops, then you can remove bandwidth within your head that allows you to move forward.
I like that analogy of the iPhone. We're an iPhone that has 900 apps open. That's so true, especially as an entrepreneur. As you know, just your mind's just here, everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And instead of like you're talking about being just focused, today I am in this space. Tomorrow, hey, I can focus on all these things. And even the day before, even if you think of something else that like for a different business, you know that you're going to have time to work on that, right? So it's a little less stress, knowing that you arrange that time. Is that accurate for you?
100%. And what I've done, I just put it in to my routine probably like a month ago. I met this guy who does body work, like massage, like energy pushing for Aubrey Marcus here in Austin. And he does work on me. And for me, that's 90 minutes a week where we're listening to that beta music and he's working on me because I train a lot. And I'm literally downloading my entire week, and it feels like an entire mind and body reset. Like it literally feels like I can't even describe what it's done for me, because what people don't talk about is when you're a coach for people and you're in their space and you're helping them, it takes so much energy to be in somebody else's life. Especially a lot of my clients are former drug addicts. And there's a lot of emotion tied to it. And I didn't realize how much emotion was put on me. And so, as my buddy said, a great quote, healers need healers. And so I have to make sure that I pour into myself just as much as I'm pouring into my clients.
Nice. Yeah. Tell me about, surrounding yourself with the right people now.
Yeah.
And how the listeners should be doing the same.
All my mentors are in, GoBundance, if you've ever heard of that. Have you heard of that? And so what I realized when I was getting sober is that your view of yourself is not as great as other people see you. And so being able to surround myself with people that are amazing, that are seeing traits in me. And my friend said a great quote. Sometimes you have to borrow the belief in somebody else long enough till you believe it in yourself.
I like that.
And I borrowed the belief that they saw in me, the things that I could do. And here's the bigger thing is there you go. Yeah. I read it in one day. That's all my dudes. That's all my dudes. Yeah.
I'm holding up the book, Tribe of Millionaires.
Tribe of Millionaires. Yeah. And Tim Rode is my favorite human on the planet. And they also have no problem telling you where you mess up too. And I never had anybody in my life that would call me and say, hey, that's not good, man. Like, and so now here's the kicker. If you as an entrepreneur or CEO are not self-aware enough to take it as feedback and not negative, that's where the rub gets. And you have to say, okay, I'm going to go to work on that and I'm going to get better. Because every day, my mantra is 1% every day. That's all you can do.
Yeah, no, they're really loving you, caring about you by providing that negative feedback. It's not, it's positive, really. It's helping you to see some shortcomings that you can improve on. It's just hard to hear, right? Well,
yeah. And then ultimately, here's the bigger issue. And this is, thank God I'm getting older now and I'm working on this, but I definitely was a talker instead of a show me guy. And if my wish for every entrepreneur and every young hustler out there, keep your mouth shut. Go execute. Because if you don't execute and you're out there talking a bunch and people don't see results, they're going to write you off. And so make sure that you execute and let your results do the talking, not your mouth.
Love that. Yeah. So, how do we start to do that? That right there alone. It's something I try to teach my boys, right? But it's hard, any thoughts on, or somebody you've worked with that's just really struggling with that?
Well, one of the rules, because I have ideas all the time, one of the rules I had to learn, and if everybody's learning from my mistakes, is that I will no longer move forward unless there's an operating agreement in place in a partnership. I think there's a lot of people out there that talk a lot. Hey, let's do a deal together. Let's do a business together. And then you're talking it up because you're excited about it. I get excited. I'm a very excitable guy. And ultimately, it doesn't come to fruition. And you do that too many times, and people are going to think you're the idea guy instead of the execution guy. And so I'm keeping everything really close to the vest now and just saying, yeah, we're working on something. I'll tell you when it's time. And there's a difference between testing the audience and showing your cards before they're dealt. And so I had a marketing guy, because we're working on all my branding and marketing and my website and everything. And he said, marketing is as simple as this. All you do is highlight your results. That's it. And my results are my coaching clients. And my coaching clients have lost weight. They've doubled their business. They're happier in a relationship with their wife. They've left their job. They're traveling. These are results. Not what I think I can do for them. It's what I've actually done for them. And something that we've done is anytime you get a text message or a review on the podcast or a screenshot or anything that they send you positive that's an actual result, I keep that in a Dropbox file to highlight on my social media later, because those are actual feelings, true feelings that somebody is sharing with you instead of me making up some copy.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff right there. No doubt about it. Marketing is sharing the results. I mean, that's just putting it very simple, but so to the.
Yeah.
Love that.
I think that's the key, is that we complicate everything. And it's really like, what's the simplest thing? And this is my new question that I'm asking everybody. What do you do? Everybody chases passion and purpose, right? But what do you do that gives you energy? And go do that. Simple as that. Because with more energy, it's going to be you're going to be up for it. You're going to be excited, right? And so stop saying, this is my passion, this is my purpose. Like, what do you do that gives you energy? And just go do more of that. Like, you wouldn't continue to do almost 1,000 episodes on the podcast if it didn't give you energy, and it does, and you enjoy the conversation. So that's why you continue to do it. It does. The output, the results, I'm sure you could talk about a million times, but ultimately this is for you, right?
It does. It gives me a lot of energy. I enjoy meeting people just like yourself and helping the listeners all at the same time. It's really a great avenue.
No, for sure. I love it.
Well, Austin, tell me, I know habits are really big for you, and you talked about, you laid out some of those morning things, and I could relate to that 100%. Laying out my morning and some of that routine, those things that I push to get done every morning, just helps me to jumpstart my day, really get ahead of the day, right? Instead of being behind all day. Any other just habits that you are disciplined about that have either helped you or, other people, clients that have things that have helped them?
I am a intentional networker. So a lot of people network. I'm an intentional networker. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean to say this to boast, but I guarantee you that I would stack my network up against anybody's, because I've made a conscious decision to be involved and understand the needs of Whitney Sewell. Meaning, like, Whitney, what type of properties are you looking for? What type of asset class are you looking for, and what do you invest in? And then I go, okay, so if I ever hear of anything, I don't search for 15 buyers. I just go to you. And so it saves me time, and it saves me of understanding that I'm providing value at every turn, because that's what it's all about, right? Is like, how much value are you putting out in the world, and then you're going to get back 20-fold. And so I'm playing this legacy game, this long-term plan, and that's where I'm at. And so what I ask my guys to do is, let's stop living in the scoreboard, because the scoreboard's for somebody else. All my clients, they got their goals for me. They're so excited when they get started and they put their goals out, and I just throw them away. I'm like, it doesn't matter, because we don't even know that that's truly your goals. They might be for your dad. They might be for somebody else. So stop living out of the scoreboard and start living for yourself. And what does your lifestyle look like that you want to create? Like I live my life off of lifestyle, not goals. And so my lifestyle is I want to be a healthy person. My lifestyle is I want to be a happy person. My lifestyle is I want to give value. So if that's my lifestyle, then that's an infinite sum game that can't be controlled. Now I'm trying to get better at being more metric centric in my business, just to track things. But ultimately, that's the overall theme that I look for. And so like, my joke with everybody is we're not in PE class. Like, it doesn't matter how much you squat anymore. Like, are you moving your body? Do you take care of yourself? Is this something that's important to you? Because I believe health is a foundational pillar to how your mind works. And so stop worrying about how many miles you're running. Stop worrying about how many weights you're lifting, and just go out and do stuff. And then start putting metrics in your business after you've created the action.
Very smart. No, very smart. Thinking that through in that way. It's interesting. Yeah, people have all these goals, and then you're just like, wait a minute. That's not where we should be focusing right now.
No, it's dude. When I got started in Airbnb, I'm like, I'm going to have 200 units, and then I got to 35, and I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to do that. It's not fun. It doesn't match how I want my life to live. So, what I tell everybody, entrepreneurship is like standing out on the end of a branch and getting to the end of the branch and then looking around and going, why the hell am I here? Like, I don't even know that. Yeah, you made it, but am I here for myself? Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we do is counterintuitive as it sounds. A lot of what we do is break you down to zero and then build you back up.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like boot camp all over again, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Austin, what's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Being around people that push the boundaries of my own dreams. Like being around guys where you're uncomfortable. You're like, man, should I even be in this room? And then you wake up and realize that you are in this room and they want you in that room. But I'll tell you a quick story. Changed my entire life. Changed my entire trajectory. One of my mentors, his name is Matt Atkinson, Matty A. He is one of the best humans I've ever met in my entire life. He's a father. He's an entrepreneur. He was a millionaire in his early 20s. And I was talking to him on Instagram. This was like 2.5, 3 years ago. And I was like, listen, I want to meet you. Like what I got to do. And he lives in Sacramento. I live in Austin. And he says, well, I got 15 minutes. I said, fine. I booked a plane ticket. I flew across the country. I met him at like 7:45 in the morning. I barely slept. I went into that coffee meeting and we were there for 15 minutes. And that first 2 minutes, he looked at me dead in the face. And this is somebody that you put up on a pedestal. And he said, I'm no different than you. You have everything that I have. I just got started earlier around better mentors. Mm. And that meeting went from 15 minutes to an hour and a half. And I've built out his things for his Airbnbs and he's mentored me and now we're good friends. But it made me realize that ultimately I don't need to look up to anybody because everything that they have, I have it within inside of me.
Love that. Yeah. He helped you to see that you've got it too. It's not, I guess he could tell that, obviously just coming there like that for a 15-minute meeting, you put him up on this big pedestal or else you wouldn't have done it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. True story. True story.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Tell us how you like to give back.
So one of the things, you got the book down there. One of the things I'm beyond happy about, and we're actually running through our first group. So Tim Rode runs a charity called One Life Fully Lived. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's amazing. We actually started a recovery mastermind. So anybody that's been through rehab or drug addiction or alcoholism that wants to thrive, not just survive. And so we just have our first group that's about to graduate, 6 people, and they are crushing life and they are in new businesses, new jobs, and it's all for free. We give our time for free for a small donation. And seeing them, I just met with all of them on Monday, my one-on-one, gave my time, and I can't think of anything better. But also one of my passions is teaching kids financial literacy. And I bought all my best friends' kids, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the kids version for Christmas. And I said, throw all your other gifts away. That's the only thing that matters. And we're just going to create this space where we can teach people how money works and how investing works in kids in middle school and high school. And so that's my true passion moving forward. The last part of my years, I'm probably going to be only doing that. So.
Wow. Austin, it's a pleasure to meet you again. I know we met, a year ago at the conference, but just a pleasure to catch up again and hear your amazing journey, story, all and how you're using that and just your passion behind that to help so many others and giving back in that way. It's an amazing group that you've started there and helping all those people that can just relate to you for sure, and just see and probably just be really energized by meeting you and seeing what you've accomplished. And so thank you for that. Thank you for giving back to us today, and all the entrepreneurs that are listening. Tell them how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
And I'll do that in just a second. I just want to tell you from an outside point of view and give you a little praise. So in the podcasting space, you are talked about in high regard. And Adam Carswell, who works for Hunter Thompson, who's a buddy of mine, we're writing a book together. He said, I started a second podcast with Anthony Fasano, all about psychology of success and everything. And I was like, how many episodes should we do? And how many? And he actually referenced you and said, if I had to do it over again, I would do like 15 a week. And so, so you are the standard in the podcasting world. So I just wanted to thank you for that. But
I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah. And so how you can find me is on Instagram, Facebook, Austin Linney. I'd love to talk to people. Shoot me a DM. But the podcast that we have is called Construct Your Life. It's how to build a lifestyle, not a bank account.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.